This is CHSR 97.9 FM here in Fredericton, New Brunswick, Canada. This is Python's Paradise, your film and music show. And this is your host, Greg Gilbert, a.k.a. the Python Hyena. And folks, we all know paintball's a big thing now, but paintball was also a thing back in the 80s. In fact, one hockey mask killer, Jason Voorhees, was involved in a paintball fight of sorts. I'm talking about Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives. And one of my favorite elements of the film was the humor. And I got a fellow on the phone who made an impression on me from the moment I first saw him in this film. I have the fellow who played Roy himself, the ultimate paintballer, Whitney Rydbeck. How do you do, Whitney?
Well, hello. How are you, Greg? Good to hear you.
Well, you know what? This is an honor because I remember way back, like this film, Jason Lives came out in 1986, and of course I saw it a couple years later at a birthday party at a school, I guess, which I don't think we were old enough to see it, but that didn't stop us. And
Right.
I remember when your scene first came up, where you're trying to put the branch back on the tree, and that got a huge laugh. I got a question. Was that improvised?
Well, no. How that happened is, first of all, I've known Tom McLaughlin, the director, for years because we were in the LA Mime Company together.
Yes.
And we both studied with Richmond Shepard. He went to France and studied, and I stayed in LA. I met him when he came back from France. I didn't know him before, but we formed as part of the LA Mime Company. So we were both into physical comedy, and that was the first shot I think we did. And he came over to me and he said, "Now, this branch, if you put the slightest pressure on it, it's going to break." And he said, "I want you to do that and then try to put." It was Tom's idea. It wasn't rehearsed because you couldn't rehearse it. Once you broke the branch,
Okay.
the thing was done. So he just told me what he wanted me to do, and we shot it. And then, so in a sense, we created it as we were shooting it. But the idea was his, and it was a hilarious idea.
It's one of my favorite moments in the film. Actually, I'm going to go so far as to say it's one of my favorite moments in the entire franchise. I thought it was just a great moment. I felt so bad when your character died. It's like, let him live.
He's got a few more laughs in him. Let him live.
Let him live. You mentioned the mime thing. I was wondering, before we dive into Jason Lives, I would love to get a little bit of your background.
All right. Let's see. I've been performing since I was a child. I was singing when I was a little boy, and when I was 3 years old, I opened a children's show. I think it was called the Meglin Children Entertainers in Kingsbury Hall in Salt Lake City. At 3 years old, I sang "Oh, You Beautiful Doll."
Okay.
And so from then on, when I got into my teens and my voice started to change, I took speech and drama. And I remember doing a church play where I had to play a nutty professor. And I thought for sure I was going to be awful. I was like 14, and people laughed.
Okay.
And I said, I remember walking off stage and going, "I'm funny." And that changed my life. Went on to junior high, did speech and drama in high school, did theater and lots of comedies and stuff, and then just started going. Went to Pasadena City College for my first 2 years, and then to Cal State LA, and decided it would be smart to try to get working before I graduated rather than, have nothing going. So I was fortunate enough to get an agent, and I started doing some episodic stuff and commercials, and then I went back to get my master's degree because I felt I needed more training, and so I went to Cal State Fullerton and got my MA, and ran into an actor on a commercial for GTE. If you remember you're from Canada, you know that. This was a regional telephone company.
Okay.
And I met this actor, Duke Stroud, and he said he was teaching at Pasadena City College, and I went there. And when he found out I was a mime, this was back in the 70s, he said, I'm going to get you a job at PCC, you've got to teach mime. So I started teaching mime, and eventually, after a few years, I got the full-time gig. And I was acting and doing commercials and working as a teacher through all those years. And in the last television thing I've done, or film thing I did, was in 2004. I did a Scrubs. And then I think my agent retired, and I was so busy with school that I kind of semi-retired and from performing. So I really haven't done much work as an actor since then, and I just retired from PCC a couple of years ago, and then taught part-time for a couple of years, and now I'm fully retired. I guess you didn't expect such a long speech.
Do you still play paintball?
I never really got into that. That's the one and only time. And the only shot I ever fired was the one that hit Jason.
He's supposed to go down.
Yeah, I'm supposed to give up.
What a sore loser, huh?
Yeah, I'm telling you.
Yeah. Well, last year, of course, Jason Lives celebrated its 30th anniversary. Now,
oh my gosh, wow.
Yeah, I would have been, when that came out, I would have been 14 years old when that came out.
Wow.
Yeah. I was born in the 70s, so but yeah, I've seen every one of the movies, but I got to say this is how good a director I think Tom McLoughlin is I wasn't aware until he and Nancy had brought it up, and when I interviewed them, that there was no nudity in the movie. I was like, I was kind of caught off guard. I never really caught that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I gotta say, if I was a filmmaker and I was making a Friday the 13th movie, I would bring Tom McLoughlin back as a director, because I can't understand why he wasn't able to do a second one, because I love the spirit he brought to the film.
Yeah, he managed to create the scary part, which of course was the whole purpose of the movie, with comedy. Mm-hmm. And kept the interest going. I thought it was a very well made film. Of course, Tom's a friend of mine. I may be prejudiced, but I think he's an excellent director who understands how you can use comedy to tell a serious or scary story. And it's good for the relief, because it makes the scarier parts scarier.
I do have a question for you, though. How did you get into miming? What interested you in doing miming?
Oh, this is, well, like a lot of things in life, you kind of fall into things.
Okay.
I was always a big fan of Buster Keaton.
Oh, great. I like him, too. What's your favorite Buster Keaton film?
And when I was in high school, we had a section on mime, and I also liked Red Skelton, because he had his silent corner.
Yeah.
And I did pantomime in high school, not with any technique, but from watching Red Skelton and Keaton, all that physical stuff. I was also a singer, as I said before, and had done musicals, and was up in Oregon for summer stock and did 3 musicals up there. And a friend of mine, Jeannie, who was an actress who went on to, Jeannie Lehman, who went on to New York and was rather successful in musicals, told me about the musical theater workshop at the Music Center in L.A., and that I should apply to see if I can get in it. So I did, and I got in, and believe it or not, in a musical theater workshop, part of the curriculum was mime.
Okay.
So Richmond Shepard, America's foremost mime, he now bills himself as America's oldest mime. I think he's in his 90s and still doing mime. Anyway, he was the teacher of mime. Now, like I said, I had done stuff on my own, and so I'm learning a technique. At first, I had a difficult time with it because I was used to doing just my own thing, and then it finally clicked. His technique clicked, and I became part of his company, which is how I met Tommy and the rest of the gang, and that's my link to it. So I had an interest in it, and inadvertently it led me through the back door into mime. And I was teaching it at Pasadena City College when I first started teaching there, and I got my master's. Then I taught theater and other classes. But the first class I taught at Pasadena City College in 1975 was mime, and the last class I taught at Pasadena City College in 2017 was mime. So I did the whole full circle.
You mentioned Buster Keaton. Do you have a favorite Buster Keaton film?
Oh God, there are so many. I love Seven Chances.
Okay.
Some of the wonderful, that technique he has of the car pulls into the driveway and everything dissolves around it, and he gets out in a new environment. He gets out of the car and he's in a new place. I mean, the innovation he had. But I also, Steamboat Bill Jr. is one of my favorites too. And of course, Sherlock Jr.
Oh, love Sherlock Jr.
Oh, Sherlock Jr. is incredible. And of course, The General, which is his most acclaimed film, which of course is up there without even having to say so. But those, I think, would be three of my favorites of his. I also met his wife. You know, after Tommy and a lot of the people from the LA Mime Company used to work on the Queen Mary years ago. They wanted us as lookalikes from the era of the celebrities who were on the ship when in its heyday. So I did Buster Keaton.
Okay.
I'm 5'9" and 3/4, and Keaton was like 5'5". So I didn't really look like him that much, but I could do the mannerisms because I studied his film. And in preparing for it, I had a friend who told me, he said, well, you could call up his wife. She's in the book. She lives, in Woodland Hills, and Eleanor Keaton, just call her up. She's very open. I went, are you kidding? I said, no, she's a bail bondsman. You can call her. So I did. I said, oh, you don't know me, but I'm a big fan of your late husband's, and I have to do him on the Queen Mary, and I would like to come and do some research. She was, all right, come on over. Though in the middle of what we're doing, I may have to go bail someone out of jail, but come on. So I went over to her house and asked her questions, and she told me stories. It was incredible. And so then when we were doing a little show down at the Queen Mary, she came down, and she brought this woman with her. And she said, I want you to meet someone. And I went, okay. And I looked at this woman, and she looked like someone I should know. She was Buster Keaton's sister.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, wow. And looked just like him. And so I got to meet Buster Keaton's sister and be in friendship with his wife Eleanor. Of course, she's passed now; they're all gone now. But yeah, that was a pretty exciting part of my tribute to the late great man himself.
Yes. I remember, for instance, Sherlock Jr., there was a great joke in there where he jumped out a window and he landed underneath these clothes, and he came up and he was in drag. Yeah.
There's a book. I don't know which one it is. I've got a lot of books on Keaton. That was an old vaudeville bit.
Yeah.
And they showed how they did that. I mean, I can't remember exactly to tell you right now how that was done, but
that was all pre-CGI
thing. But that was amazing. No special effects.
Exactly.
That was the real thing.
Yep, that you a lot of times today with CGI, like a lot of it just looks bad, and it's so
Yeah.
costly. And the stuff Keaton worked with in the 20s is just amazing. The sight jokes he pulled off.
Well, he was, I think, the most cinematic of all the silent film comedians, Chaplin, Lloyd, all of those guys. He just seemed to, Jerry Lewis just died, and there was a little interview or something about Jerry Lewis who said when he was on the set, they always had to go get him because he wanted to learn everything about, the prop department, the miniatures department, everything. Well, Keaton was like that, too, and he worked on The Butcher Boy, his first film, 1917, with Fatty Arbuckle. He took the camera home and took it apart. He wanted to know how everything worked. So when he was doing his own films, he improvised, did a lot of innovation and things. The clown bit that they do in the circus, where a little car comes in and then all these clowns come out of it that could not possibly fit in the little car. He does that in film by splitting the screen in half, taping one half off so it wasn't exposed, and you see people going into the car, and then taping the part that was exposed and exposing just the car by itself. So that's how he made that work. So other filmmakers said, "Oh, we can do that," but what they forgot is that Keaton took the car and put it on blocks so it wouldn't move up and down, like when you get into a car because of the springs, it moves up and down. So if you do that and you split the screen, you've got the stable car that never moves, and the other half is going up and down. So you have to put the car on blocks. So that was an innovation of his. He was the first to do that, as I understand. And of course, what I mentioned in Seven Chances, when he drives the car up and holds perfectly still, and then they match that shot in another location. And there are two scenes in Seven Chances, and if you look real closely, you can see that one of them is slightly not perfectly matched. But the first one is very, very well matched. Now, that would be done with, computer generated now. But, yeah, he just did amazing, amazing things. I just blown away by, and even when he was an old man, Chuck McCann told me a story when Keaton was on the Gary Moore show. And he's an old man now, with a pot belly and everything. And he has to, in this thing, he dives through a window, even as an old man. And in rehearsal, he didn't quite time it right or make it jump high enough. And he ripped the skin off his shin. I mean, just ripped it up rolled it like a roll of piece of wallpaper falling off a wall. And he sits in the front row and he pulls up the skin and wraps a bandage around it and says, "By tonight, showtime, I'll have it." And then he jumped through the window, of course, fine. But he had a lot of injuries. You get injuries when you do that kind of thing. And but just the trooper that didn't even faze him. He just pulled the skin up, wrapped something around it, and jumped through the window and did it fine on the Gary Moore show. All of those things just made me admire him so much. Fabulous.
Yes.
Fabulous performer.
You mentioned musicals. Do you got any favorite musicals?
Yeah. Stop the World, I Want to Get Off. I get to do singing, acting, and mime.
Oh, wow.
It was Anthony Newley's first play, and it was like a clown character. The set was like a circus ring, and he did mime in it. And it was a stylized kind of show where one woman played his wife and several lovers, and I think there were two girls that played the twins, and then just him. And it was a very dated show because it was around the Cold War time and if it was done now, it would be very, very dated. But it was a wonderful show for someone who was musical and could could do mime, and I was perfect for it. So, yeah, I did that in college at Cal State LA. That's one of my fond memories of college theater.
Yes, and of course, getting back to Friday the 13th, Part 6, Jason Lives,
Sure.
I was wondering if you would tell me about the process. I mean, you had a small scene in the movie, but to me, I think it's one of my favorite scenes in the movie, the paintball scene. I think it's hysterical. And to me, like, one of the most memorable moments, it ranks right up there with the RV flipping over and Jason emerging out the top of it there.
Yeah.
You putting that branch back on the tree. Now, how did you... First off, how did I know that you knew Tom McLaughlin, but like, had you seen any of the previous 5 films before you saw this? Because it doesn't sound like it would be quite your thing. So how did you get brought into this?
Well, Tommy wanted me to do the part,
Okay.
and the producer, of course, wanted to hire a local to do it rather than bring someone in from L.A. So several of those smaller parts are quite often done on location. There are Screen Actors Guild actors all over the country, and a lot of them, will and when it comes in, they will use the locals who can do that. So it would be much more economical for them to do that. But he somehow managed to convince them to bring me in to do it. And he told me what the part was, and he gave me the script, and I just went about it, just not thinking in terms of a particular genre of film, because I really I'm not a slasher film kind of guy normally, but I just approached it from this little man who I gave it a backstory as he's in this company, this office, and is never really made a splash or anybody for making any impression on anybody other than just being this nebbish little guy who no one pays too much attention to when they have the football pool. He's not involved, and just this little guy who has this desire now when they're going to do the paintball thing for the office that he's going to show them. He's going to get out there and he's going to survive and he's going to win this thing come hell or high water. He doesn't know what the hell he's doing, but he's got determination. So that's why when you see him doing all these looks, he's playing it deadly serious. Yeah. And when he trips and loses his gun, shoot, I can't even get this right, And then it comes across Jason, and everything becomes rather serious then. So that I just approached it as I would approach, any acting job, trying to figure out a backstory or where he's coming from, what he's doing, and what motivates him to do the things that the script is asking of him. So that's what I did, and it seemed to work.
Well, we all loved the tree branch breaking scene, but I loved it when you lost the gun and you're on all fours and you're going around in circles trying to find it. Like, did Tom tell you to do that, or was that you?
He left me alone. So it told me how to jump and all this stuff, and then I just did my thing.
Like, yeah, even when you're like running in the woods, like even your posturing, very comedic, the way you're running and you jump there and you look with the gun and you look the other way and then you do that little run and then you do it again, Like, that was all great stuff.
Well, it's great. But from his point of view, he's not trying to be funny. He's trying to get the hell out of there. It's just this is the best he can do. And if that works comically, you've got to play it. You got to play it straight. He's gonna kill me. That line. He's gonna kill me. Help! Help! And just panicking and running away. And you have to play it from his point of view, which is he's very scared, and he knows something's going to happen, and it ain't going to be good. So, yeah, well, good that worked, because if you tried to be funny with it, it would kill everything. If you don't believe that he believes he's in jeopardy, then it's not funny.
Exactly.
And, here's the acting teacher talking again here. So yeah, that's why I wanted to play that as truthfully as I could.
Let's take C.J. Graham out of it for a minute here and just look at you, the two big fellas, doing the grumbling. You got Ann Ryanson, and then, of course, you got the other guy who's, I guess, very chauvinistic out there in the woods just hacking the tree. And
yeah.
I guess she had pretty much tagged them all, except you. And I got to wonder, would she have won, or would Roy somehow have won that, taking Jason out of this?
Boy, she would have probably won it. I'm sure that Roy would have found another way to mess it up. I don't think win is in his gene pool. I think, though, how hard he would have tried, something would have happened, and, he would kind of been like, oh, God, I can't think of the name of the character now, but another character who just went, every time I try to do it, I just think he would have tried so hard and not succeeded. No, Ann Ryerson had us all.
Ann Ryerson, it's interesting, too, because she, of course, little trivia here, was the girl who lost the chocolate bar in Caddyshack.
Yeah, and she was a director for a while, too. I don't know if she's still doing that, but she was directing.
I think she's directing those two fellows that were grumbling.
But no, she came out of improv. I don't know if she was in Second City or something. I knew her through a class, a different kind of class, musical theater class we took. And she's a tremendous talent. So yeah, she was doing all that. Oh no, I don't know if she was. I'm sorry. I think I might have her mixed up about directing.
Well,
yeah, I think I do. I don't know about that. So ace that out, because I think I misspoke.
Well, you know what? It's everybody makes mistakes. Who knows? I don't know a whole lot about her, but I know she was in Caddyshack, and I gotta wonder, which was worse for her: losing the chocolate bar in the swimming pool, or losing her head?
Well, if you don't have a head, you can't eat a chocolate bar.
Well, that chocolate bar just sure caused a lot of trouble in the water, but then again, so did Jason.
Yeah.
What was she like to work with?
Oh, she's a delight. She's a wonderful person to work with. Very professional, and you can count on what she does, and she's just a very, very nice lady. I have a lot of respect for Anne.
Now, I can't remember the name of the two gentlemen that she was with. Do you recall their names?
Yes. Alan, oh, God. God, he does a lot of theater. I just saw him at A Noise Within out here. Alan Bumstead, or I can't.
Okay.
You'll have to look it up.
I'll have to, yeah.
Gosh, I can't remember his last name, but it's Alan.
Yeah.
And the other gentleman, I just ran into at a party. And I haven't seen him in years, in 30-some years.
Did he have a paintball gun?
Yeah, the other guy. There were the two guys in Anne, and I've forgotten his name, I'm afraid.
Yeah, they were funny too. Of course, they were the ones I think that arranged this whole thing, and it backfired on.
Yeah, that's right. If you look up the film, you probably can.
Oh, I
get
could
names.
probably find it. I remembered Ann Ryerson, and I never did get on there to get their names off there. But and then of course there's the other gentleman who's he did all that raging and chauvinistic complaining, and he ended up his face implanted in a bloody happy face on the tree. Again, more of that Tom McLaughlin humor, and then Jason just kind of raises that machete, and there's his arm still attached to it. I don't remember that gentleman's name too. Played Bert.
Yeah, I don't know him either.
Yeah, you weren't in the scene with him, so I don't know whether you got to meet him or not.
No, my scene was pretty solo.
Yeah. Yeah, you're the fifth person from the film I've interviewed. I've had Tom McLaughlin on here, and I shared with Tom something I had because I wrote to him back in, I think it was 1994, and he responded and sent me a handwritten letter. And I still have it, and I read it to him during my interview, you know?
Uh-huh.
Yep, and I had Nancy McLaughlin on last year, and I had her on 1 year, right on the day this year, both August 11th, I had her on last year and this year.
Wow.
Yeah, and I love Nancy. I think she's awesome, and I know you've got a lot of love for Nancy as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But she told me that when she was on set that I guess Easter happened during the film, and I guess she was giving Easter eggs out. Did she give you Easter eggs?
No, I wasn't there on Easter, I don't think.
Well, gee, you missed out then, didn't you?
I did, yes.
But I'll share something here. I'll pick this spot to share this because she did a charity challenge that I threw at her. Speaking of comedians, we sadly lost Robin Williams a few years ago, and that was a major loss, and it was for, of course, suicide and depression. And a few years ago, of course, the Ice Bucket Challenge was a major hit, and I have somebody close to me that has ALS, so I kind of get that. So ALS did really, really well. And a new one after Robin Williams passed away surfaced called the Doubtfire Face Challenge. Mm-hmm. And it was named after Robin Williams and Mrs. Doubtfire, and it was to give awareness to suicide and depression, and it involved taking a pie in the face, and you nominate 3 people. And I did this, and I threw this out to people I interviewed. And I was talking to Nancy about it. I had some people that's done it too, but Nancy said that when she was in, I think it was England, she said this was on the news over there.
Oh.
And she did a video. She didn't take a pie in the face. She took a cake in the face.
A cake in the face?
Well, she said, well, he takes a cake in the face and Mrs. Doubtfire. But nonetheless, she did a beautiful little video, and she wanted to get people from Jason Lives together to do this, but she wasn't able to do it. And I guess she said it was Halloween weekend. She said she never even thought of that. But
yeah.
She managed to drag props up. The next thing she did, though, she dragged props up, and she had like the casket done up in her living room and this tombstone and all that stuff. And she did this, and she threw nominations out to people from the film because, you know, we wanted to get the industry involved. And she told me to throw a nomination out to you.
Oh, great! So I get a pie or a cake in the face, huh?
Actually, I think you should do it with her, and I think you guys should get the cast together because I know she's trying to wrangle everybody together for that. But
that's going to be some task because probably everybody's off doing whatever they're doing, and probably a lot of them might not even be in town.
Well, I do know that we've approached Tom Matthews about it and Carrie Noonan, and they seem open to it. A lot of it's scheduling too, you know.
Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah.
But she said to me, ask Whitney. He's funny.
Well, yeah. Just keep me informed. Let me know. We'll just see how the schedule works.
Yeah, and if you know people in the industry, throw 1 or 2 or all 3 of your nominations out to them.
Well, if you could send me something, so or text me or email me something, that would be good. So I had something physical to.
Actually, do you mind if I add you on Facebook?
Yes, add me on Facebook.
Okay, because I'll send you Nancy's Doubtfire challenge because hers is really entertaining.
Okay.
Yeah, she's got a beautiful house. I know that, and she shot it in there. But she's still got that beautiful red hair too.
Yeah.
But yeah, she told me to bring that up to you, so I said sure.
Okay.
Yeah, and since you were a mime, she tried to get Tom McLaughlin into it, but I don't know. She's having a hard time reeling him in, and I never know when he's online or offline. I got him on Facebook and I got her on Facebook, but I'm more in commune with her. So,
Yeah.
yep. And of course, Tom Matthews, I know you didn't work with on in the film, but of course he played a wonderful Tommy Jarvis, and
Yeah.
I had a great interview with him too. What a nice fellow.
Yeah, good. What's he doing now?
Well, I know that he's married to a lovely woman named Carla, and he's also open to the Doubtfire Challenge, and I know he does a lot of the conventions. And well, I'll tell you something he is doing now. They got the Friday the 13th game coming out, and I guess Tom McLaughlin's involved in that, and I guess you can use the Tommy Jarvis character, and I guess Tom Matthews is doing a voice in it.
Oh, very good.
Yeah. I think they should bring Roy into it.
That would be fine.
I think Roy should be in there. In fact, I think I'm protesting. Roy should have survived the movie.
Yeah, well, there are pieces of Roy. You can have them there.
There's pieces of Roy all over. Yeah, I had Tom on. Did you meet Tom?
Which Tom?
Tom Matthews?
No, I've never met him.
Oh, yeah, nice fellow. I had him on here. And I had Carrie Noonan on here as well, and she, of course, played Paula. She kind of got shish kebabbed all through the cabin. Jason's a horrible interior decorator.
Yes, I guess so.
But I had her on here, and haven't had Jennifer Cook on here, though, or David Kagan or any of them. But yeah, I was going to ask you about C.J. Graham, of course, played Jason in the film. What was he like to work with?
Oh, I didn't have much contact with him. I really didn't have a lot of contact with him because I just had that scene, and when I was preparing, I guess he was doing something else or getting ready, we were on location in Georgia when we shot this, but to be honest with you, I didn't have really much, and which happens quite often in films. You think we're all in one big party, but it's not always the case. So no, I really can't tell you anything about that.
Well, you know what? I really loved your work in the film. Like I said, it's one of the most memorable things in the movie to me. I think you were hysterical in the film, and I think the fact that I was not realizing there was no nudity in the film just is a testament to how good a director Tom McLaughlin was, who's able to take me in the movie without me even thinking about the stuff that went on in the other movies.
Yeah.
But you've been in some other films I want to ask you about, too. You had an uncredited role as a character named Janice in Sleeper. You get to work with Woody Allen. Well,
I actually did two parts. I did Janus and Reagan.
Okay.
I did Janus, the servant robot, and Reagan, the gay robot. So I did two roles in that. Yeah, I noticed they didn't put credits for the robot. Maybe they wanted people to think the robots were robots, but no. There was a person in there. It was me.
What was it like working with Woody Allen?
Very interesting. I didn't know when I first worked with him that he doesn't do a lot, doesn't tell you a lot about what to do. He's basically said, well, I cast actors who know what they're doing, and I let them do it. So it was interesting to work with him because he wasn't one of these directors that tell you everything to do. So you would do it, and then would wait and see if Woody liked it, and if he goes on to the next scene, then you knew he liked it. Otherwise, he would, have it done again or something. So he was very quiet, not what would you say, a dynamic personality. Very, very quiet. I think if he wasn't Woody Allen, he would kind of like fade away in a crowd. You wouldn't notice him. But everyone around him respects him so much that he just says one thing and everybody just goes. They want to please him. They want to do what it is he wants, and he's a calm man on the set. There's no tyrants or any tirades or anything like that. He he was wonderful to work with in the sense that he gives you freedom and trusts you, and he'll let you know if he doesn't like something. Or, and in some of the scenes, there were quite a few lines that were improvised or played off of, not done as they were written. And in other scenes, everything was done strictly by what was written on the page. So when I did the servant robot, everything was done as written in the script, because we're dealing with established actors, and that's how we did everything. Then when I did the gay robot, he had some, I guess, improv people or something, and they started improvising all of their lines. Okay. And I hadn't come on yet. The joke is my entrance when I come on they're a gay couple, and he's trying to hide out from the authorities. And the joke is when they call for their robot to come in, the robot's gay. That's the joke. And so they're all changing their lines, and I don't know where I got the chutzpah to do this, but I'm sitting there and say, well, everything's changing. I'll change mine. So they do the thing, and I improvise my line. I don't do it exactly as he wrote it, and because I have to adjust to what they're doing. I can't. It doesn't fit as well. So I do my line, and Woody doesn't say anything about any of it. So I guess everything's okay. Then he asks the script lady. He says, can you read back the robot's line? And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in trouble now because I haven't been saying the line. And she reads back the line that I wrote.
Oh.
And so everything was fine. What I had rewritten to adjust. So in that particular scene, I guess the idea was to be free and play and work with that. And in the other scene, when they're working with strict actors, everything was done literally. So that was quite an experience. I got to work both ways with Woody in the movie. So it was fun.
It's been a while since I've seen Sleeper. That had Diane Keaton in it too, didn't it?
Oh, she was so wonderful in that.
Yes. Okay. Yeah, I seen that a long time ago.
Oh, yeah.
Diane Keaton. She's been with him in a lot of movies, so you get to work with her too, huh?
Yeah. Well, I didn't have much contact with her. None of my scenes involved her. But, just to be on the same set with her was wonderful. She was a very nice lady, quiet, kind of reclusive. She's not a real outgoing person. She's quiet, but very nice. And again, all these people, all professionals. It's so great to work with these people who just do their job, and expect you to do yours and have respect for you and you for them. It's a great working experience.
And you also got to be a sound man, of course, in Rocky II, which of course directed by Stallone.
That was just a very bit part. I think my agent at the time wanted me to do this to kind of, I guess some reason he had some. It was a small little part, and I said I would do it. The story about that is, I have one line. Is I speed. That's it. Which is what the sound guy says. Mm-hmm. Only I'm standing on stage watching the commercial being made, which is within the film. Rocky makes this commercial, and they have given me no recorder, no headphones, no nothing. I'm supposed to stand there and say speed.
Okay.
And I said, wait a minute, that's not reality. I need to have, I forget what they call those recorders they used to use. What are they called? I forget them. Anyway, I said, I need a prop. I need at least a headset, because they were shooting me close, so you didn't need to see the recorder. But so the prop guy gives me a headset, so now I look like maybe I am the sound guy. But nobody seemed too concerned about that from me and my one line, and I guess it probably would not have made or broken anything. But I thought that if I'm playing a sound man, I gotta have the props. So I got the headset. So when I speed, that was my big moment in Rocky II.
What was it like working with Stallone?
Oh, it was great working with him. This was his second Rocky film.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember I got to talk to him for a moment. He was saying then that his plan was to chronicle Rocky through the years, which is what he ended up doing, doing the different Rocky 2, 3, 4, 5, however many he made. And then culminating with the last one that he did where
Creed, yeah.
He's, bringing in the new guy. So we talked about that being his plan, that's what he wanted to do. And, of course, that was, just after he had, his movie had won the Academy Award, and he was just on his way up, man. It was very nice and personable, and he seemed like a terrific guy.
Now, I have 1941 home on Blu-ray. I think it's a very underrated Spielberg bomb, but I had Eddie Deason on here back in June. Now, you play a character named Daffy, and I'm sorry, but I can't place you in the film. Could you give me a little leeway here?
I'm in a place at the USO scene, and I'm dancing with Diana Kaye. What's her name? The female lead, who had been on a TV series, and Treat Williams comes over, and he's Army and I'm Navy.
Okay.
And he comes and kind of chases me away.
Oh, I remember.
From her. Originally, the reason the character's name was Daffy is originally they wanted me to talk with a lisp.
Okay.
Kind of a Daffy Duck kind of. That's why the character was nicknamed Daffy.
Okay.
But then, Sylvester Stallone, are saying things like that. But then when it came to shooting, they cut that. They didn't want to do that. So I just did a regular voice.
You like working with Spielberg?
Yeah, he was great. Sometime later, after the film was out for a while and had gotten the not good reviews from the critics who, I guess, thought the humor was sophomoric or something. I don't know. I was at Musso and Frank's, and he was sitting at the table with his then wife, Amy Irving, and I walked over and said, "I don't care what anyone says. I like 1941." And he looked up and smiled and said, "You're very cute in your sailor suit." And so he was very nice and approachable, and I was doing my children's television series at the time. We were doing 1941, and he actually sometime volunteered. He said, "I love children's show. I'll come on your show sometime." Of course, we never arranged it. I think he was a bit busy. But he was just very, very down to earth. These people are people,
Yep.
and when you're working, there's a kind of connection between you and even the star or the director, because you're working together. Don't go off and have lunch with him or go over to his house and play pinochle. But when you're working, there's I find an amicable relationship in most cases, and that's what it was with Mr. Spielberg.
I gotta say, Amy Irving, gorgeous woman.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he was lucky there.
Yeah, only wasn't doing too bad with Kim Cantrell. Is that who he's mismarried?
Oh no, who was it? Why am I escape me? She was in Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom. Oh, Kate Capshaw.
Kate Capshaw. That's
there
right.
You go. Yeah, he got good taste in women. But you know what? I like 1941 too. I think Spielberg was kind of quoting Dr. Strangelove with it. But
oh yeah,
yeah. But I mean, I liked Belushi in it, John Belushi, and I really loved the opening take where he makes fun of his own film Jaws and got the same actress.
Oh really? Was she the same girl?
Same girl that was pulled down by the shark at the beginning of Jaws. She's the one that's in the water, and the submarine comes up, and there's her naked body, and she's just wrapped around that antenna thing.
It's very funny.
I thought that was terrific. Not only was he making fun of his own movie, but he got the same actress. I thought that was terrific.
Yeah.
Yep. Another film you did, of course, Love at First Bite.
Well, all right. I came down to audition for it, and they were in the middle of shooting it.
Okay.
And he looks at me and says, "You want to do a scene right now in it?" And I went, "Sure. All right, send you into wardrobe." So all I did is this small little part, but it was funny. I went down to audition, and then the next minute I was in makeup and costume and did this little part. I can hardly remember it. It was just a small bit. He needed someone at the moment, and he just asked me if I would do it, and I did it. So this business is strange that way. You know, it's just you never know.
What about the Baltimore Bullet? Now, this is the one I hadn't heard of until I looked at your credits, but that looks like a comedy.
Baltimore Bullet. No, my God, I hardly...
You play a photographer in it. That's what you're listed as.
Right. Yeah, I can hardly remember that.
I can't even remember who was in it.
No,
right
I mean,
now.
I think it was a gambling.
Oh, that's
thing.
right. That's right. Oh, I'm trying to think who was starring in that, and that escapes me.
Yeah, I had forgotten all about. Boy, I never thought I'd ever forget any job I had done. But when you've done so many and it's been so long, I do remember it was about gambling or cards or something. And I don't remember who the star was even in that. I'd have to look that one up. You got me on that. I can't tell you any great stories.
What about Battle Beyond the Stars?
Oh, that was fun. That was with John Boy from the Waltons.
And I don't even have the list here.
Yeah, he was just nominated for a Tony Award this year. That was the Seven Samurai in Space.
Okay.
And I play this robot, I guess. Yeah, I was a robot in this.
Again?
Yeah, I think that's the reason how I got that, too. Because, yeah, I was a robot that was Sam Jaffe's creation. Sam Jaffe was basically a head in what looked like I don't know, like his whole body had been replaced by machines except his head. And I was his robot who could go out and do things that he couldn't do. And so I basically, when the planet's going to be blown up or whatever, I am the one that has to turn him off and turn myself off. And that's our subtle little sweet death scene. And that was, I wanted to do something, I remember I wanted to do something I thought would have some pathos to it. But, oh God, the director's name, I can't remember anything anymore. He was the star of the the king of low-budget films, and a lot of people got their start through him.
Oh, Roger Corman?
Roger Corman.
Yeah, there you go.
Roger Corman was the director, and no, he wasn't the director. I think there was someone else.
Maybe he produced it or something.
Yeah, I think. Oh my God, you're making me try to remember all this stuff. I mean, it was his film, so I guess he was the director. But I have to look and see. But I remember I wanted to do this little thing that would have been a nice. I can't even remember what it was, and they went, no, just get on with it. They just wanted to. Didn't want to have a moment there. So that's the director's film, and that's what you do.
Yeah, I should have probably wrote more stuff down on that, but my bad. But the last one I have, I got two more listed here. Of course, you did a voice in Oliver and Company.
Yeah, that was basically looping. I was in a looping group.
Okay.
And we did some voice work on that cartoon. And so that was through a looping group, so wasn't really a terrific. Well, if you're doing voice on a cartoon, and I can't even remember what I did on that. But we did some voices on it for the characters.
And you played an auctioneer, of course, in a very Brady sequel.
Yeah. Now I have a story to tell on that.
Okay.
I'm a trivia question answer.
Okay. All right.
And the trivia question is, who besides the main cast has been both in the Brady Bunch, the TV series, and in one of the Brady Bunch movies, and that would be me.
Mm-hmm.
So I had done an episode of the Brady Bunch called Getting Davy Jones, when Marcia knows Davy Jones is in town and wants to get him to come and play at her prom. And I did the station person in that, and that's where I met Lloyd Schwartz, Sherwood's son, who does a lot of stuff at Theater West out here now, and other things, and writes plays and did something in New York and all this stuff. So I still know him. And then I got a call to go out to audition for the Very Brady sequel, which I called Lloyd. I said, I'm going to your movie. So no, that someone else is doing that. I mean, that's not our own project. And I ended up getting the part. So he said, well, now you're a trivia question. Which actor has done both? Because I don't think that there might not be anyone else, or if there are not very many who have done both the series and the movies. So that was...
Well, they had some cameos from the cast.
Well, the cameos from the cast,
yeah.
I mean, but anyone who was like a guest
yeah.
on the TV show would be in the movie, who wasn't a cast member. A regular. I think maybe I have that distinction of being. if there's someone else, there's not very many of them.
Growing up, I used to watch the Brady Bunch. That was one of my favorite TV shows. I had somebody ask me if I remember anything in the 70s, because I was born in 1972, and I think I remember a few things, and one of the things I remember is I used to watch the Brady Bunch.
Oh yeah, what a great show to grow up with.
Yeah.
I was in college, working on my master's degree when I did the TV show. And I remember, I was working on my master's, and so I had to miss rehearsal for something at school to do the Brady Bunch. And then it was on, and then didn't have a recording machine back then, so it came on, I think, while we were at school, and I got to watch it then. So there's me.
Is did McCormick go, Marcia, Marcia, Marcia?
No.
Actually, I think she was Marcia. Why would she say it?
Yeah, she was Marcia, right.
Confusing them. Of course, Christine Taylor played Marcia in the film version.
Yeah, right, yeah.
I like the fact, though, in the two movies, you had Michael McKean play the villain in the first one, and you had Tim Madison play the villain in the second one. Yeah. Yeah. But I don't think the movies quite hold up to the series, though.
Yeah, well, they're very different, so... it's hard to, it's a very different thing to sustain an hour and a half, 2 hour storyline than a half hour storyline. So it's a very different genre. So it's quite often you can't make one work as well as the other.
Well, I noticed between the two they got female directors. Betty Thomas, I believe, did the first one. The second one was
thinking when I was getting Ann Ryerson. I was getting her mixed up with Betty Thomas. Yeah.
Yeah. Arlene Sanford, I think it was, directed the Very Brady sequel, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, I think that was her, right?
Yeah. So I don't know.
Yeah, I think that was her, because it wasn't. It wasn't the other lady. She did the first one, and then someone else. And I think you're right on that lady who did the second one.
Well, what's happening with you now? You just
I just retired, so I am now enjoying leisure and hope to try to get to maybe do some theater in town, and maybe do some directing and
paintball.
Get back to my photography, which I've always loved doing, and travel and enjoy life.
Have you ever been out this part of Canada? I live in the New Brunswick, Canada, way up East Canada.
I have. Well, let's see. I've been to Toronto, and I've been to Victoria. Those are the places I've been in Canada. I'm going to go up to Iceland the very first of January 1st for a few days as a trip. My lady's father lives in New York. He's 96, and on the 1st we're going to fly up to see the Northern Lights, like up in Iceland. So we'll be going somewhere near, passing over Canada, I guess. So where is New Brunswick?
You know where Nova Scotia is.
Oh, is that where it is? Oh,
it's right-handed. Well, Nova Scotia is about a 4-hour drive from where we are. I always say our closest celebrities would be the Trailer Park Boys, if you're familiar with them.
Oh, no. I know of them, but I'm not familiar.
Yeah, they're about our closest celebrities. But I know Nancy McLaughlin knows where we are. She's been up this way before. But, yeah, we're about... as far as time zone goes, we're an hour ahead of Toronto, and we're 4 hours ahead of Vancouver. So we're like ahead of everybody almost, except for the UK.
Except for the UK?
Yeah, we're ahead of everybody except them, and Australia and people like that. But we're like 4 hours ahead of you. Like it's like 5 o'clock here. It's like 1 o'clock where you are.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I did want to know though. Do you ever do the conventions?
No, I haven't done the conventions. I think my small part, I don't think probably in one episode probably warrants a lot of interest as opposed to the regulars in the series or the main characters. But no, I haven't done those. That would be fun. It would be fun to do that, but I haven't.
I don't know why they didn't assemble a bunch of the cast for Jason Lives. Like last year, I'm not sure if something happened or whether Tom was involved in something or not. But I mean, I think it would be great to. Well, I mean, you were very funny in the movie. I don't see why people wouldn't want to meet you.
Well, I don't know anything about that kind of stuff, so. I don't know the rhyme or reason or how it works because I've never been to one, so I don't know what they're like.
Do you ever get recognized from being in the film?
No, I don't think I've ever been recognized from that.
So you don't wear the big goggles anymore?
No, I don't wear the goggles and a camouflage suit walking around saying, "Do you know who I am?" Anyway, it's 86? You said? I've forgotten what year it was.
1986.
That's a long time ago.
Yeah, the film's now 31 years old.
Wow.
And you haven't aged a bit, huh?
Oh, well, yes, I've aged. I mean, my hair is mostly gray now, but I still look pretty much the same.
Nancy's still got the red hair. She's aged
she looks
nicely.
Great.
She does. But I gotta say, how cool was it that Tom McLaughlin got Alice Cooper to do a song for the movie, huh?
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, what a great song. That whole album was great too, but it was really great that he got Alice Cooper on board. And I guess Tom being a musician, I guess he had a little bit of clout, a little bit of influence.
Maybe he did, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't know, but that was a great CD, and gotta say, I had a lot of good laughs from Jason Lives and a lot of good scary moments. It was a well-made movie. Kudos to Tom McLaughlin.
I'm glad you enjoyed it.
A lot of people did. I think my older brother saw that at the drive-in. We don't have drive-ins here anymore, you know. I think the closest one is maybe Sussex, but I saw part 7 at a theater that's no longer here, and I was not 18 when I saw it, so I don't know how I got in. Have you seen any of the other ones besides?
No, I'm not. Like I say, I'm not a slasher fan.
Yeah.
So I didn't go see the rest of them. Anyway, I would probably prefer what Tommy did than what someone else did anyway. So, I'd probably say, Tommy could make more of this than that and put some humor in it and make it even better. So,
what are some of your favorite movies, just out of curiosity?
Oh, boy.
Like, you got some that are just like your go-to movies?
Yeah, probably ones that most people wouldn't have on their list.
Okay.
One of my favorite movies is from, I think it was 1967.
Okay.
Called A Man for All Seasons.
Okay.
British film based on the play by Robert Bolt, and just an incredible acting performance. God, I'm forgetting names. I'm sorry, I must be getting old. Who won the Academy Award that year? I love West Side Story. I love. Oh God, there are so many. I'm trying to think of some newer films.
I like old films too, so don't worry about me there.
No. What did I see? Oh, geez, I can't think of them right now.
Oh, well.
I really, there's just so many films that I like. But from the old days, that would be that. I like the old silent movies.
Yep.
Chaplin and Keaton and Lloyd and Langdon films for comic. And now that Jerry Lewis has died, I've always loved The Bellboy. I believe that's the one that was mostly silent.
Okay.
Kind of like a Jacques Tati film. Very, very funny. He has to go to the he has to go to the airport and pick up a briefcase. No, he never says anything. The film isn't silent. Other people say to him, "You've got to go to the airport. The pilot forgot the briefcase, and bring the briefcase back." So he goes to the airport and he gets into the airliner, and he sits down in the pilot's seat. Mm-hmm. And he sees the briefcase, and he thinks for a minute. Next thing you know, he's flying the airliner, and he lands it on the parking lot at the hotel and gets out of it and delivers the briefcase.
Sounds kind of like Dumb and Dumber.
Oh, but much better.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned musical.
Much better.
You mentioned musicals. Did you see La La Land?
Yeah, I enjoyed that a lot. I liked, as far as film musicals, I like Cabaret, West Side Story.
Oh, yes.
I liked La La Land. I don't think it was as good as some of the others, but I think it was good. And I'm glad that they did a tribute to Los Angeles and that they kind of brought the musical back. I think that all of that should be accolades.
I think
it'd be nice if the two leads could really sing and dance. That would have been nice.
I think Emma Stone's gorgeous, so.
But what?
I think Emma Stone's gorgeous, so.
Oh God, she can do anything, and you just look at her, and she's a very, very good actress.
Yeah. Singing in the Rain, I think is.
I'm sorry, Singing in the Rain. In fact, we're going to the Hollywood Bowl. They're going to be playing that with a live orchestra.
Oh, that is a terrific movie. They played that at the classic.
That's one of the best.
They played that as a classic film series up at the mall, and I went and saw it. And I think it's the greatest musical I've ever seen. Singing in the Rain.
Well, it's obvious. I think it's most critics will say the best movie musical created for the screen rather than adapted from a Broadway play. Mm-hmm. I don't think anyone can challenge that as the greatest film musical of all the film musicals that they made, 42nd Street and all those others that they create, the MGM musicals and all. But I think that is absolutely the top drawer.
Yes, that's fantastic. A lot of good physical humor, too, like that Donald O'Connor going up the wall and flipping down. Speaking of miming, I mean, he didn't even have to have music to do that. He's just such a great physical presence.
Yeah, well, I think he came out of the tail end of vaudeville, didn't he, and all that stuff. So, all that knockabout comedy and physical stuff, and he was just so great at that.
Yes.
Yeah, it was. I'm sorry I left that one out because that's one of the all-time great films.
Well, you mentioned some good ones. I mean, Cabaret, that's definitely up there as one of the greats.
It's funny when they did West Side Story and Cabaret, they turned them into films. They didn't, Spielberg, I think, said he didn't think that stage musicals work well as films, and unless you really change them to fit the media, where in Cabaret, it's very different than the play. Very different, and it works, because it works as a film. And West Side Story, I think it works better as a film than it does as the play. And there are a lot of great musical transformations, but those are the exceptional ones, I think.
What do you think of something like Grease?
Oh, I think Grease is fun. I don't think it's a great musical or a great film, but I think it's fun and well done and entertaining, which is what it's supposed to be.
Okay, something more recent, Rock of Ages. Did you see that?
No, I didn't see that.
I loved it. Boy,
Yeah, was it fun?
Oh, well, I'm going to tell you, I grew up with the music that is in it, so it was
Yeah.
very nostalgic for me, but they mesh a lot of songs together, and I
Yeah.
thought that was very creative.
Yeah.
So it's set in 1987, and of course all this music just brought me back, and that's important for me for musicals. It's a little nostalgic feel.
Sure.
Yeah, yeah. Well, Whitney, do you got anything else you want to plug before we let you go? Like any web pages?
Boy,
or
I
anything?
think we've covered a lot of stuff.
Well, I'll tell you, you came with very high praise from one Nancy McLaughlin. She couldn't, she didn't have anything negative at all. She just sang your praises.
Well, thank her for me if you talk to her again. I really, really appreciate that.
Oh, I'll be talking to her, all right. I actually sent her, I tried to call her to let her know that I was going to be interviewing her, but I think she's busy. She's got a web series she's doing right now. So.
Oh, really? Good for
yeah.
her.
Yep. And
What's it called?
you know what? I forget right off the top of my head. Are you connected with her on Facebook?
Yes, I have. I don't do a lot of Facebook, but yes, I'm connected with her. I'll go on Facebook and find out what it is.
Yeah, but and I did know too. It escapes me, but I know she's involved in that, and she sent me a guest named Shenli Fong, who's was a lawyer, but he decided he enjoyed the entertainment business better. So she sent him to me, and yeah, still in touch with her, and
oh, good.
She's a wonderful lady. Yeah, but she sang your praises, so there you go.
Well, thank you, and this has been very interesting.
This has been a lot of fun. But before you go, I was wondering if you would do a plug for my show.
I think so.
Okay, go.
Hi, this is Whitney Rydbeck, and you're listening to Greg Gilbert on Python's Paradise out of New Brunswick, Canada.
And folks, if you're out paintballing, be careful. Roy just might accidentally hit you with a paintball gun.
I might get you.
He might get you. It'll be accidental, but he might get you. That's 31 years of Jason Lives. How about that, huh?
Wow.
Well,
That's
hopefully we can get you at one of the conventions. You'll have to wear the goggles and the camouflage.
Well, they'll have to supply that because I don't have those.
You don't have those?
No, that's the prop stuff.
Nancy's got a lot of the props at her place. That I do know.
Wow. Well, then maybe she's got them.
Maybe she's got them. She's got the casket, the tombstone, everything.
Jeez.
Yeah, just in case C.J. Graham needs a place to stay some night, he can sleep in the casket.
Yeah, that's cool.
And pop out.
Well, it's been good talking with you, Greg.
It's been great talking to you too, Whitney. Thanks for all the memories, and definitely thanks for all the laughs.
Okay, anytime.
God bless you.
God bless you too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.